What are the implications of Zone Zero? That's what we're here to talk about. Hey everyone, my name's Chris. This is Zone Zero California. Welcome to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening. Behind me, for those of you just listening, is a beautiful view of Santa Monica along the Pacific coast here from Malibu. But as I spin the camera around here, you'll see a different story. What was once surely plots of homes with million-dollar views, now it's basically just dirt, cement, and chain link fences. And that's because this was one of the areas of Malibu, obviously, which was just like the Palisades and Altadena, completely devastated by the most recent wildfires. So why does Zone Zero change everything? Well, first of all, check this out. Most homes do not burn from a 30-foot wall of flames. They burn because of embers landing 5 feet from their structure, from their home. And that 5-foot perimeter is now what we call Zone Zero. And it changes everything about how we build in California. So in the last episode, I broke down the history of Zone Zero regulations. But for this episode, I want to explain why this is not just a rule change, right? It's a structural shift in how we survive wildfires in California. So it all starts with the embers, and I mentioned this in the first episode, right? That scientists discovered what they call ember storms, right? So as things burn, trees, buildings, right? They create embers, and these embers, right, are actually what travel and spread the fire. And these embers they found can travel for miles. So you don't. And they don't, the embers, right, they don't need, backtrack. It doesn't take a wall of fire to be destructive, right? All these embers need is fuel. And so they've found that the most vulnerable source of fuel is usually around the 0 to 5 feet of a structure, right? And so that's how this Zone Zero came to be. So, right, for example, what are some common ignition points, right? What about a wood fence or gate attached to the side of your home, right? Beds of mulch against the foundation, right? Wood decking, patio furniture, firewood storage, fuel storage, right? So it only takes one ember landing in the wrong place to bring everything down. And another thing to add is that these embers can also travel inside of the vents on the side of your home and cause the fire to start from within the structure. So what does Zone Zero actually mean, right? Of course, it means the 0 to 5 foot perimeter immediately surrounding your home or your building, right? So what is the goal? It's to remove all combustible materials, right? So what does that include? Bark, mulch, wood chips, dry organic material, piles of leaves that have fallen from the tree that haven't been raked yet, right? So, and it's about replacing it with Class A non-combustible materials like gravel, pavers, concrete, stone, right? And also too, there are the vertical elements. We mentioned wood and gates. Well, what about your pergola? What about your siding, right? And what about your roofing? So, as well as plastic items like trash cans or vinyl fences. Because once these things combust, those flames, not only do they melt, but the flames themselves can still ignite other things around them, like your home. So, it's not just about landscaping, it's about true resistance, right? And so this is a real paradigm shift. Because for decades, defensible space, which is sort of the origin of the Zone Zero concept, right? It had, like I mentioned in the last video, in the last episode, there's two zones, Zone 1 and Zone 2. Zone 1 used to be the 0 to 30 feet, called lean, clean, and green, right? And then Zone 2 was the 30 to 100 feet. So now Zone Zero says, look, listen, dude, what about the structure itself, right? It's not good enough just to have the 100 feet of defensible space around your home. Your home itself now needs to be hardened for maximum protection against these fires, against these embers. And so it's a very big shift. It's a philosophical change, you know? So you're not just managing vegetation, you're hardening the house, right? And so it shifts the responsibility, right, from just the landscapers to builders, to contractors, and to designers. So now many contractors may not be ready for this, right? If you're still selling wood fences and gates, right? Or if you're a landscaper and you're recommending mulch, right? Or, you know, grass even. But again, if the grass is not maintained, it becomes dry, all of a sudden now it's a risk, right? And also decking, right? Decking, maybe you have hardwood, maybe you have redwood. Well, again, if it's not Class A non-combustible, it's a true liability. So Zone 0 requires transitioning these materials. As I mentioned, Class A non-combustible must be used. Now, the way the current regulations are, it's a requirement for all new builds that they use Class A non-combustible materials in this Zone 0 and perhaps even on the structure itself. But by 2028, it's predicted that all homes, buildings, structures in the state of California, not just ones in the very high fire hazard severity zones, must comply as well. So it's going to require a shift for some contractors to pivot to different types of materials. And also too, right, normally you would get a redwood fence, maybe that's your least expensive option, right? You can just use materials from Home Depot. Not anymore. So that's another factor on the market here, right? So it's not just changing a product, it's changing a system. It's changing, like if you're getting the contractor and the designers involved, the architects involved, and the landscape architects and everybody, it's a systems change, not just a product change. So let's talk about the insurance factor, right? So even if enforcement by the state is delayed, the insurance companies certainly haven't waited. People have already experienced not being able to renew their homes, the insurance for their homes. And that's been acting as a compliance or enforcement mechanism upon the market, right? And we all know that some of the insurance companies pulled out, causing the state of California to create their own fund to help homeowners find insurance solutions. So, you know, policies get dropped, not renewed, and repriced, right? So mitigation is becoming a survival strategy, right? So pretty soon, compliance may be required, is what we're about to see here. It may be required just to get your insurance covered, or to get a permit, or to resell, you know, in highest areas like Malibu, right? Do you want to purchase a home in Malibu only to have it, you know, succumb to the next inevitable wildfire in the area? No. So as all of these homes get rebuilt, this new systems change is going to have to be top of mind for the architects and the contractors involved. So for lack of a better term, it does create an opportunity. So we are in a transition period, right? The rules exist, the science is clear, but enforcement is still evolving. So early adopters right now can build authority, expertise, and the infrastructure to help scale as the rebuilding effort comes into full speed. And unfortunately, you know, that could affect those who wait and become late adopters, right? They might have to scramble or compete on price, whereas contractors who are sourcing things ahead of time, becoming familiar, working with perhaps material suppliers to bring more of those products to the market here, may have an advantage in the future. So this is the future baseline for wildfire construction in California. There's no doubt about it. Again, just to remind you here, Zone 0 is the first 5 feet between survival and total loss, right? And this isn't about fear. This is about taking control. This is about responsibility and being proactive as a result of, you know, the devastation that occurred. So many people witnessed firsthand, perhaps on a scale heretofore never considered. So, you know, as contractors, homeowners, and communities who understand that it's coming again. The ones who act now are going to be in the strongest position when the next one inevitably happens, right? So that's it for today. Once again, my name is Chris. This is Zone Zero California. Please, if you want to join the conversation, join our school community. It's an absolute free community to join. I encourage you to come listen, even if you're just a homeowner who's experienced the most frustrating time dealing with all of this Zone Zero stuff firsthand. We want to hear from you. If you need to come and vent and get it off your chest, that's fine, because sharing your story, if that can help others in the community, so be it, right? And so we'll also be putting more resources and stuff to get together over there as well. It's just a good place for us to like sort of centralize the conversation, put all of these things in one place for people to act as a resource. And again, if you want even more information, you can go to zonezerocalifornia.com. And if you want to get in touch with a local contractor in your area, just contact us through there. So thanks.